this?
It's celebration. It's dead.
And the celebration is over.
Yep.
Boo. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2020.
Y'all look at me for that?
Not really.
Let me get logged on here.
Yeah, please like and share this video.
Please.
I have already done so. Hey, Jack. Happy New Year, sir.
I'm going to sure.
Sure. Like, sure.
There we are. Let us know you're here.
Please. The year 2020, the year of seeing clearly. I, of course, wanted to get an old Barbara Walters frame for this. You know, this is 2020. I know that joke's overdone, but I had to.
Yep.
Totally overdone.
Remember, share it. Here we go.
You know, if you sign up for the notifications, whenever we go live, you'll automatically get a notification in your Facebook. What a coincidence! What a concept! You can do that too. Give it another second while Leah gets shared and liked. Or the rest of y'all sharing and liking. If you're sharing and liking, give me some thumbs up. Show us some thumbs up in the chat there.
There's not a thumbs up, is there?
Yeah, there is.
I thought it was just the like button.
There's a thumbs up.
It's a like button.
That's a thumbs up.
It's a like button.
Watch, I will give us a thumbs up.
Look, like.
Look, yeah, thumbs up.
Like.
Happy New Year, Kathleen. Hey, Josh. Thanks for joining us. If you hear any loud crunching or skittering noises, we are in a haunted house right now. No, they're cats. They're right here eating.
We gotta remember too, there's a little bit of a delay.
A little bit.
Okay. How was everybody's holiday?
Yeah, we the last time we hung out with you guys, we were sipping cocoa in our PJs by the fireplace. So did everybody have a good Christmas, good holidays?
And doing foolishness.
That's what we do best.
Our 10-cent Christmas play.
Hey, I think that was one of the better Christmas plays I've seen all season. It was technically the only Christmas play I had seen all season. So.
But good meaning.
Oh yeah. Hey Chris, Happy New Year to you too, sir. Alright, you want to get this thing off the ground?
We can. I'm not getting
Any interaction?
any comments on my end.
Come on, y'all, interact with Leah. She needs it.
It's just not showing up here. I see up there.
Yeah, and I've got it right here in front of me. I can put it in between us.
Weird.
If that would help. There's also a water fountain. You'll hear him slurping water too. All right. So, 2019, what a year.
That sounds so depressing.
Well, I did have a heart attack last year. Too soon, maybe? Nah, okay. No, when I say what a year, I mean like we had a lot of things happen last year. A lot of good things, a lot of growth. We were things. So I just kind of thought we'd start out this newsletter with a little bit of a recap of 2019 and what we did. Still no comments?
No, so I'll just look at your phone.
Right. Stacy says Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year, cousin.
Cousin.
Love you too.
All right, so the first big thing that we're going to talk about is this newsletter. We launched this digital newsletter in March. No, it was April. April of this past year. Our last printed newsletter was in March, which was actually our year anniversary for doing the newsletter. So this coming March will be 2 years of doing this newsletter, and it'll be 1 year for doing it digitally. We rolled it out April 1st. Was not a joke. People thought we were making a prank, but
Oh, that's right, April Fools.
but no, we've been doing it that way ever since, and I feel like we've gotten a lot better. I've enjoyed the interaction a whole lot better. I feel like we're reaching more people this way because, face it, sometimes I don't feel like reading. I'd rather watch the movie than read the book.
Oh.
Not really. The Harry Potter movies were good, but the books were better. Bad example. Anyway, moving on. We back in February of this past year, we had our first major out of town investigation. We traveled all the way to Oklahoma. Out of state. I think prior to that, our furthest investigation had been Kentucky.
Probably.
Southern Kentucky, northern Tennessee, but had a call from a client. DJ, if you're watching this, Happy New Year. And got to go out there and actually spend some time on site, which is something that we at that point had never had the opportunity to do. And we got to stay overnight at a location and actually help a client out. And we're pleased to say that couple of days, pretty much a weekend.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah. But I mean, we can sit here, and I'm pleased to say it'll be a year next month that we went, and that client has had no issues with things since we left. Actually, she was able to put the house on the market and sold the home.
Yeah, it was, and also to say too that she did a lot of work afterwards.
Okay.
When we left, of course. We were able to clear the home while we were there, but then I've always said that's the easy part. Now it's keeping the cleanup, or the actual work actually starts. So when we left, she stayed persistent, she stayed consistent in not allowing this thing to come back, because that's in every case. If you have especially demonic activity and it gets cleared out, it's going to try to come back. And we gave her the tools and actually stayed in touch with her, kept support whenever it was needed, and she was really awesome. I mean, as far as staying consistent and doing her part, because we can only do so much. But then, of course, her being the homeowner, she has to, it's her responsibility to maintain that atmosphere, and she has reaped the rewards of it.
Totally.
She has peace of mind and not having to deal with that issue anymore. Oh, sound is very low. Can you hear us now? Is this better? Let us know. I'm going to see if it has anything to do with on my end.
Check the camera.
Oh, there's my palm.
Whoa, where did I go?
You're welcome.
I can read the lines on your hand. It says that you're going to have really dry palms later. Need some lotion.
Got them now. Thank you, old age.
Wow. But no, to follow up on what Leah said, I mean, what we do, and like she said, it's what we can do is the easy part. It takes a commitment. If I've always used the adage, we can come in with the vacuum cleaners and clean up your house, but if you are continuing to eat sloppily and throw dirt on the floor and not doing, your end to do the housekeep, then things are, the problems are going to return. The bugs, the infestation, the demonic forces are going to return. So, and one thing that was really, really, touching and a huge impact to me was to see this client work through it. There were times that she would call us and email us afterwards, and she would tell us flat out, I feel...
Kathleen can't hear us.
Is anybody else having audio issues? Can anybody else not hear us?
You may have to go out and then go back in. Well, if she can't hear us, she can't hear me saying that. Go ahead, I'm sorry, I'll just reply to her.
No. If anybody else is having audio issues, please let us know. If it's on our end, we'll see what we can do. Leah's going to post something under my name in the chat. So if no one can hear us, please respond to her.
If Santa Darth Vader, that's who I'm posting under.
Yeah, that's me.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But she was, she would call us up and she would tell us, I feel, I feel bogged down. I still feel kind of oppressed about things. I know that what was here is trying to get me to invite it back in, but I'm not going to do that. She goes, I am tired, I'm weary, but I've got God on my side. And I think numerous times she referred to it as God's mighty army was on her side, which is the truth. And she held fast to that. And it was amazing and touching just to see how God did a work in her life and is continuing to do a work in her life.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that she didn't have rough patches or rough times or even rough things happen personally in her life, but still she stayed the course and she's able to have peace of mind and not have to deal with that any longer. So that is a success.
I'm going to turn the volume up on my phone real quick to see if I can hear us.
Sure.
And
that is. Oh yeah, you can hear my big mouth.
all right, so I don't know.
I'm not sure, Kathleen. You may have to log out and then log back in.
Right.
I don't know. Okay. So yeah, that was very special to us. Also, we were able. Yeah. Oh gosh, we were able to make so many friends and form so many close relationships. You can't go through something like that or be a part of something like that and not build an intimacy with another individual or other individuals that were there. And we are so grateful and thankful for those friendships that we have formed. They're DJ and Mary and several. They just feel like family. So it was. Okay, great. Thank you, Yvonne. So it was, quite an experience. Very much so.
I feel like we've known them for ages, and like I said, it'll be a year next month that we met them and did all this. So it's a blessing when people can make an imprint on you like that.
Absolutely.
All right. This past year, you're going to have to help me with the date. I think it was June. Realm Fest. Our first, I know.
Was it?
It was in the summertime. It was hot. It was blazing hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
The only saving grace of that festival was the fact that I think I said it 100 times on the live that we did there. We were right next to the river, so we were getting a good cool breeze off that. But
it was fun.
It was fun.
It was nice meeting a bunch of people.
Yeah, we set up our tent. Leah did an awesome presentation on spiritual warfare while she was there, or while we were there. She didn't go by herself. I was there. But her presentation was awesome. It's still on our Facebook page if you want to go back and take a look at it. I recommend anybody go check that out. But we got to network with a lot of people, got to meet a lot of people. A couple of people that we know from here came and met with us and hooked up, and we just had a good time.
Yeah, here as in our newsletter community.
Groupies, clique, whatever you want to call them.
I don't think we have groupies. Our friends here. So it was really nice to meet some people that we have interacted on our newsletter with and put a actual face and in-person face to a name. So that was fun. And also we had that opportunity to launch some of our paranormal swag. So that was fun. We were able to do several giveaways throughout the day where we gave away sweatshirts and t-shirts and tote bags with our logo and our little, what would you say? It's like our catchphrase, I guess. Here's
mission
one of the
statement.
Yeah, here's one of our t-shirts. It says, "We are not here to convince you, we are here to help." And then on the back it has our logo. And then Mike has a logo t-shirt.
Yeah, Leah's is a little bit different than mine. Mine is the one that you, I don't know what we call these. Yours is called the sideways logo.
Sure.
Because this one has the circular logo. Hers has the shield with the banner going off to the side.
Both of those logos are on our page.
Yeah,
so,
if you don't know them by now, then do you really know us?
Aww. But it was fun,
and we got invited back. We'll be back next year.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll go to other opportunities or other fairs, conventions, whatever you want to call them, throughout this coming year. So I'm really looking forward to that, and more opportunities to spread information. So
and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but that is something that we as a team have discussed doing, is just getting together and maybe doing some sort of information thing. Doesn't have to be like a full-blown fair or a convention. Maybe getting together at
like a Saturday and having some informational panels and some meet and greets and things like that. So if you're interested in anything like that, just send us a message and say, hey, that would be cool, I'd come to that. And I may even post a poll just to kind of get an idea of what kind of interest is out there.
Because I know that while we were at Realm Fest, there were several people that asked us if we did things like that. And we got a lot of good ideas. Again, networking with people up there, it was, I hate to keep going on and on about it, but I mean, we got a lot of good information, we made a lot of good connections while we were up there. So got some ideas for some stuff that we may look at implementing on our end.
And we're able this past year to be a part of a couple of radio podcasts or newscasts.
Oh yeah, we did a couple.
And also a YouTube channel.
We were on Bump in the Night TV. That was a trip. Let me tell you. The investigation alone yielded some pretty interesting evidence. Some of that can actually be seen on the show. Again, go to YouTube and look up Bump in the Night TV. And I can't remember which episode we were on. It was the second or third episode, I believe, of the season. But the interview was memorable to say also. So a bunch of good guys down there at Bump of the Night.
Yeah.
We had our first and not the last, because there will be more, Guestigator investigation.
Yes.
That was a huge success. A lot of entries, a lot of people. I admit we were a little overwhelmed by the fact, overwhelmed and humbled that so many of y'all want to come hang out with us in abandoned buildings and stuff like that. That's just cool. No, it was really cool just to see the interest.
I don't know if it's so much as hanging out with us, but having the cool paranormal experience maybe so much.
Right.
But.
And our Guestigator did an awesome job. And
oh yeah, definitely. And asked questions. That's what we told her. Just, I may ask too many questions. And we're like, no, that's what you're here for. We want you to ask questions. We want you to, you're here to experience and to learn. And so I believe she had a great time, and she was able to get her own little Guestigator t-shirt, so that was cool to be able to give that to her.
She experienced both sides of it, the excitement and the dull drone hours of just sitting in the dark with dead silence, because that's how it goes.
Yeah, everything is not books flying off the shelves or everything going in a whirlwind around the room. Sometimes it's just sitting for a long period of time and actually absorbing the environment. So
I've never done it before, but I would liken it to probably like deer hunting. You're just sitting in the tree for hours and hours. You might see a deer, you might not.
that's true.
It's the same aspect.
Yep, it can get just as boring.
All right, so something else that actually occurred that night, was it that night? Well, we kind of snuck him in, and he got, his debut was the night of the Guestigator investigation, but it wasn't until our next newsletter that we announced that, oh dear is right. We added a fourth member to our team. We brought him on for the Guestigator investigation, just kind of a see if he wanted anything to do with us kind of deal. And
we had worked with him before.
We've worked with, guys, we're talking about Jack Haynes. He's in the chat room right now, being an awesome moderator for us. And I think he was hanging out with Santa this year for Christmas. I think did a lot of hanging out with Santa. Morphed into Santa. Anyway, if you see him now, you wouldn't recognize him.
What was that post that he said he was from Santa to?
Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Yeah. But she doesn't look anything like that.
I'm your Huckleberry. But yeah, we after some thought and some time, in prayer and talk amongst ourselves, me, Leah, and Ed had decided that it was time to finally bring on a
You don't look like Uncle Fester. Okay. He's way more pasty than you.
Right. Fun fact, Doc Brown and Uncle Fester were played by the same actor in the movies, Christopher Lloyd. So are we insinuating that Jack looks like Christopher Lloyd? Anyway, so we decided after some, fair enough, we decided after some thoughtful prayer and whatnot that it was time to bring on a fourth member. And Leah and I had worked with Jack in the past, and Ed had as well, but we hadn't, as the foursome, whatever, had worked together. So we decided.
Force.
I'm done. Oh, mind blown.
That's it. Let's turn this thing off.
This thing's done. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Anyway. A force to be reckoned with, yes. But no, so we brought Jack on board, and he's been an absolute blessing. Hoping to see more coming in the future with the four of us working together.
Yeah,
really
I like
excited.
It.
What do you say?
FOURCE.
The Force.
I like it.
Can we get that on a shirt, please?
Absolutely. That'll be our team personalized. We'll have our name and how we're part of the Force. Or on the back, we'll just say the Force.
I like
I
it.
like it.
Copyrighted, trademark, Paranormal Help Me. All right, and lastly, there's no numerical value that we can put on this, but just the number of cases that we've gotten to deal with this year that were not even us going to investigate places. People reaching out to us worldwide through our phone number, through email, Messenger, Facebook, text. We have been able to reach out and touch a lot of people this year, more so than I would have ever imagined. The first time I got a phone call from someone and realized that they were from across the pond in the UK, it just kind of blew my mind. We've dealt with people in the UK, Africa, Australia, Europe. I know most of those are in Europe anyway, but I'm just kind of being blanketed. And then from coast to coast here in the United States, North America, Canada, Washington, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, just people reaching out and needing help. And I'm blessed that we have been able to be that help that people need. I'm gonna let Dobby in because I just realized she's outside.
Oh, but she's mad.
Yeah.
So that was really great. It was really nice to be able, from ghost to ghost, absolutely. It was, it's nice to be able to give help and also provide some tools even just through another media other than physically going there. Now, if it was something that we needed to physically go there, we definitely would have, but thankful that it was able to be resolved or taken care of just through
And a lot of
phone call.
times it's people just wanting to talk, because they have exhausted their resources locally, or they don't know where to turn. Friends don't know what to do with them. They've reached out to everything that they can think of, and it's heartbreaking to me. I mean, we laugh at it at the time, laugh about it at the time, but it's heartbreaking to me that the first words most of these people say to us on the phone is, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but," or "You're never going to believe me," or "I sound like a crazy person."
Right.
That is a sign to me that people have, I don't want to say they're at their wits' end at that point. They have
They've held it for so long,
right.
because of fear of being judged or whatever somebody's opinion is going to be. And let me just go ahead and start off. You're not crazy. We've probably heard it before. We've probably experienced it before. And, I say the same thing when people ask me about the things that I can do or whatever. And usually my first words are, "Well, don't think I'm crazy, but..." So I can understand where that comes from. It's very easy to already have that... Ooh,
Always.
You can't be up here.
Always.
To already have that, I don't even know, perception that somebody's going to not believe you or not understand and not going to help you. And usually by that time, yeah, I know Beverly. She's usually busy, real busy. But typically, by that time, they're just, at their wits' end, and they've just, I'm just going to push through. I don't care what anybody thinks about me, and I've got to call and get some help. And so, if you're ever experiencing anything, just don't wait until you're at that wit's end, or you feel like there's, nothing, that you're just in a hopeless or helpless situation. Please let us know. Oh, Yvonne is in the UK.
Cool. We're worldwide right now.
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us.
Right. But, I just completely forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry.
But,
We're excited about Yvonne.
It's the UK. The first episode of Doctor Who aired today.
Oh.
Somebody out there is excited with me.
Okay. Star Wars movie came out.
Yeah, we went and saw that. Good. I thought it was a fitting end to wrap up the saga. Unfortunately, it answered all the questions I wanted, but then left me with more. So I hope that maybe the Mandalorian TV series will give us a little bit of background information on stuff that I don't know about. After you tell her she can't be up here, you let her up here. Yeah, okay, doggy. But something I wanted to tack on about the people reaching out to us. People have sent us evidence to overlook. I'll just put it over there.
Yeah.
But have sent us evidence to look over, and that takes a huge leap of faith, I think, because anybody could say, "Oh, you're a complete nut because you think this is what that is." And I'm not saying that, there's been situations where someone has sent us evidence and we've debunked it, and unfortunately they chose to, maybe not take what we said into consideration and move forward. And that's up to them. That's their God-given right to make that choice. But we feel it is a disservice to the client if they give us their evidence, because again, that's personal. That's opening up their life in a way to people that they don't even know, and showing us stuff like that. But we are going to tell them, if something doesn't seem right, we're going to tell them, that's this looks like something natural. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of pranksters even that have sent us evidence that it's clearly a camera app, and we will we'll say, this appears to be something that looks like it could have been done by an app. We're not discounting what you're saying, but,
You should always be open to that, even for any evidence you come across, or if you feel like that there's evidence you've come across in your own home. Just
Hey,
be
Stan.
mindful of that. Always have a skeptical or look for a natural cause first, and then when all of that has been exhausted, let's start looking at the paranormal. And I think that's a healthy way to approach this field.
Which is a perfect segue into our topic for tonight.
Is it indeed?
Yes, we do this well now, don't we? So, one of the things that we've dealt with as investigators during our tenure together, and then
Happy New Year, Stan.
hey Stan, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. So one of the things that we have dealt with as a team, and separately, because you add up every member of this team, there's about 30-40 years of investigative experience amongst the four of us. So we've all seen, dealt with a lot of different things. And when you go into an investigation, you have to keep an open mind. You can't be, what's a good terminology I'm looking for here? You can't have tunnel vision.
Right.
You have to be open to everything. So what brought this topic on is we were looking in the newspaper, and this actually happened back in October, and the article was released in November, I believe. But a local hotel in our area, we're in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, for those of you that don't know. Hey, Sean Dog, Happy New Year, man. Those of you that don't realize, again, we're in the Chattanooga area. So there is a hotel, a very famous hotel in downtown Chattanooga. It is a Sheraton hotel, but most
It's
local.
been several things, but now
It's currently a Sheraton.
I believe.
I think, yeah. But anyway, it's more to local populace and history. It's known as the Reed House. It's been known as the Radisson Reed House, but informally, everyone knows it as the Reed House. So if you're from Chattanooga, you know anything about the paranormal, you're going to know about the Reed House, and it's infamous room number 311. Boom, boom, boom. So back in October, the Reed House, after
This past October.
yes, after years of turning a blind eye to the paranormal.
We don't talk about that here.
After years of that, they finally, I don't know what.
Have embraced.
Right, they've embraced, I'm not pretend to understand why. I mean, maybe new management, new ownership. I don't know. Obviously, it is a commercial enterprise. The paranormal is at times, unfortunately. So you're going to see
New owners.
Thank you, Jack. So after years of turning away from it, they've now embraced it. So room 311 was remodeled. I couldn't think of the word.
Well, I think the third and fourth, well, actually several floors have been remodeled over the years.
But they've decided to reset up room 311 as it was originally when the Reed House was built.
Now, what did the Reed House used to be, Mike?
You've just caught me off guard with that one. Why don't you tell the people?
I believe it was a Civil War hospital.
No, it wasn't.
I knew he would know.
Now I knew where we were going with this one. So, do you want to know why the Reed House wasn't a Civil War hospital? Because it wasn't there during the Civil War.
What? But I've always heard that.
You've heard about the Union soldier that picked up a prostitute, took her to 311, and murdered her there.
I have.
Not a true story, folks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to debunk that. But, like Jack said, it was a hospital in 1875 for yellow fever. But
I thought it was Saturday night.
I thought it was cowbell. Anyway.
I got the pita.
So again, to know your activity, you got to kind of do your research when it comes to time. Again, you can't go with the.
When was the Civil War happening?
It's still being fought this very day in Ringgold, Georgia.
Ain't that the truth? Every year they reenact it. You can hear the cannons going on.
When we used to live in Ringgold, they would reenact the Battle of Ringgold Gap, and it would rattle our windows in our house when they would fire the cannon. But anyway.
But in real life...
1861 to 1865. So... you got to do your research on your times, because if you say that something was haunted by a Civil War ghost, well, if the place wasn't there, how did that happen? So there's been a lot of stories that have been attributed to the Reed House and to room 311. Leah and I have stayed in the Reed House, and we didn't,
on the third floor.
On the third floor. Now, we weren't in room 311 because at the time 311 wasn't open to the population, but we had I'll let Leah share it because I was dead to the world, but there was actually some get the joke, ghost dead to the world. No. Anyway, we were staying there because we had gone to Chattacon at the Choo Choo, which was just up the road, but we had rooms at the Reed House, so we were on the third floor, and I'll let Leah pick up the story from there.
So it's just walking through the hotel in itself. For those that are sensitive, you can just feel the history in the place. When we stayed on the third floor, and to be quite honest, I'm sorry, talk a minute.
Oh, you're not plugged up. So we had gotten back to the room fairly late in the evening, and I had gone to bed, or we had both gone to bed, and when my head hits the pillow, I'm out, I'm gone.
Well, anyway, going anywhere, I don't know anything about anything. And I choose it to be that way.
Thank you. I was going to say, she chooses to go in cold, where we, as the rest of the team, when we want to go on an investigation, we get all the information we can about a place as far as history, previous occupants, claims of haunting, location of where the haunting is at. All she knows is the address when we go somewhere. And
in this case, it wasn't, I've lived in Chattanooga for most of my life. I lived in South Florida for my preteen to teenage years, but I was born and raised here for the most part. So I knew that it was an old hotel, and that was it, and that there's, I guess, haunting mystery around it, but not really knowing anything about anything. So I knew that it had been termed as haunted, but didn't know any details, didn't know anything about that. Well, long story short, so I didn't even know that the third floor at that time, this was several years ago, that it was a thing.
We were still dating, so this was over 10 years ago.
So anyway, you're gonna have to hush because you're getting me off track here. Okay, so we stayed on the third floor. Well, anyway, just the room that we stayed in felt kind of, if you're sensitive, you could just feel like that something was there but couldn't quite pinpoint it. It wasn't, sometimes I have to, if I'm not really focused on it or I'm not there to investigate, I have to really just kind of sit and soak in the atmosphere before images and things about what's going on actually come to me. But that was a long story short. But anyway, at one point during the night, after I went to sleep, I was woken up with a light blinding me right in my eyes. And so I thought somebody had turned on the overhead lighting. And I woke up and I kind of sat up. Well, I noticed that the door to the room was open. And what woke me up was the light fixture in the hallway. It was shining right in my eyes. And I thought that maybe Mike went out and got some ice or something. I didn't know what time it was or anything. So I just figured he had walked out, maybe went down the hall, got ice, whatever. Anyway. So I just laid back down and eventually I fell back to sleep. So that next morning, I asked Mike, I was like, well, what in the world were you doing out in the hall? Or, why'd you go out in the middle of the night? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, you left the door wide open, first of all, and you weren't around, and the light was shining right in my eyes. That's what woke me up. And he said,
from the time I hit the pillow till I woke up now, I have not been out of this bed.
So I can't explain it.
And I'm not a sleepwalker. I wasn't messing with her. The beds were super comfortable. So, I mean, seriously, we had already been out late. It was after midnight before we had gotten to the room. So, as soon as I laid down and relaxed, I was out of it. And I didn't wake up until the next morning. And she was like, why did you leave the door open? Anybody could have come in. I'm like, I didn't.
And I was kind of, you woke me up because the light was shining in my eyes from the hallway. It's like,
So whatever was there, thank you for getting me chewed out.
So I don't know. It could have been paranormal. It could not have been. It was very strange. I mean, I would hope no one had snuck in the room at some point, but
Nothing was missing.
Yeah, the odds are that did not happen. And when we woke up the next morning, I mean, the door wasn't open; it was shut, and the what do you call those? The little bar flap.
It's kind of like the security chain, but it's the bar that closes over that way. So when the door opens, it only opens so far.
Yeah, that was shut over it. So, I mean, even if somebody had tried to get into the room, that would have prevented that. Right. So, I don't know.
Jack is channeling the spirit of Hank Williams.
Oh.
I saw the light.
So, anyway, it was very interesting. I'd like to stay there again. And security, yes, thank you, Jack, security bar. So, I forget there's a delay. So, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
So, we'll be the first to tell you that there's activity at that hotel. There is something there. Jack mentioned it in the chat room. A woman by the name of Annalise was murdered by her husband in that room in 311 in the 1920s. And just, I mean, the history of Chattanooga, I mean, if you haven't had I'm going to plug something here. If you haven't had an opportunity to take the walking tour downtown in Chattanooga, if you're local, and if you're not local and you got time to take a trip up here, it's worth it.
And there's a couple of different ones, but each one has always.
And so there's a lot of information that can
really
be given. We've gone on three of them. We did the investigation tour.
I've gone on more than that.
Well, I forgot you went on. I've been on 3 because I did the investigation tour. We did the one with Hope, and then we went with one with this guy named Jack. Really annoying guy.
No, very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable.
And then
very knowledgeable.
I went with, I think it was Hope's husband one time. I think it was her husband.
But who else were you with?
And there was somebody else. So
I do remember you going on that. I just can't remember who all you were with.
So
I was at work that night. I wasn't able to go.
That was really fun and interesting. And we went through one of the tours went through the UTC campus or different parts of the UTC campus. Right? That's so right, Jack. And even through is it a military cemetery or just a cemetery that's over adjacent to the college?
Jack would be able to tell us that one a little bit easier. I know that there is a Jewish cemetery that is connected to that, but I don't think the whole cemetery is Jewish.
Okay, it could be a mixture, I'm not sure. And then also there's a tour that's actually downtown as far as the time that we went, it started at the
walking bridge.
The walking bridge, and then we wound up actually at the Reed House. We ended at the Reed House. But it takes you to a spot that is underground Chattanooga. And if you're not familiar with underground Chattanooga, look that up. Some really interesting stuff. And some Confederate cemetery. And some really interesting activity down there too. Just saying.
But anyway, so the first couple actually stayed in that room, and it was reported in the Times Free Press. They did an interview with them, and you want to guess how much that couple paid to stay there?
Oh, I'm sure a regular room rate of what, maybe $250 a night.
According to the media, which we all know they tell the truth, they paid $666.67 a night to stay there.
They should have just went all sixes. What's with the 7 there
I
at
don't
the
know.
end?
I don't know. They would probably if they went through Travelocity, they might have gotten a deal. I'm kidding. But anyway,
Expedia.com.
Expedia. Where's William Shatner when you need him?
He's climbing the mountain.
All right, so
YouTube that.
please, Captain Kirk is climbing a mountain. Look it up; it will change your life.
Yep.
So, of course, staying the first night. Of course, with the first people that stay there, they interviewed them and asked them, what kind of experiences that they had. So, basically, your typical whispers. They heard some scratching noises, things like tapping on the walls. I think one of them, I think it was the wife or the woman of the couple, said that she felt like she had been grabbed like on the wrist and whatnot. So very, very memorable time for them for the next day. Pimp it, Jack. Just pimp it.
No shame.
No shame in that game, man. You do it. You
do it, buddy.
So, reading that article, it just something kind of hit me for a second. Now, I would never publicly, or even I would never just blame anybody or accuse anybody of doing something like this without without just cause or evidence. But when I started reading the experiences that they were having, it brought to mind again how if you're on an investigation. Now I know these people were just in it for the fun. They wanted to be there to experience something, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But even someone that is what I would call a thrill seeker, when you're going to a pay-to-play haunted attraction, you have to be careful when you get there and go in with that open mind, that sense of a debunking nature is what I say.
Well, you have to be mindful of the power of suggestion, and that's very strong, and just be mindful of that. There have been places that have filtered in, I guess what you call it, or
so I'll go with that. No, it's okay. So what I'm getting at here is that anything that you encounter that seems paranormal, put it through the test. I'll throw a Bible quote at you. Test the spirits to see if they are of God. Test the spirits to see if they're paranormal. Test the spirits to see if they're spirits. It might be an air conditioning duct. It might be a critter in the attic. That kind of thing.
Debunk.
Because
we've looked up in ceiling tiles in all kinds of places to see if
when you find rodent droppings in an attic over a crawl space area where people are hearing at night, there's probably critters, rats or something up in there.
I always look for a natural explanation first.
Right. So, and Jack has also hit the nail on the head of what he's calling manufactured experience. Now,
right, yeah.
we have had, we've had experiences with this.
A couple of variations of it.
I know other teams have had experiences with this. See you, Jack. Several teams have run into this experience as well, where there may be a legitimate haunting or a history of a haunting there, but the powers that be that run said haunted attraction have decided to sprinkle in their own flavor of the paranormal or what have you. Excuse me. A good example of this, if those of you that were fans of the old Ghost Hunters television show with Taps, Jason and Grant, if you go back to season 4, episode 11, they were investigating a place called the Moss Beach Distillery. Try to say that 3 times fast. Moss Beach Distillery. It's in California. So whenever they went in, they were called in to investigate claims of paranormal activity. The manager is sitting there telling them, well, you know, we've got cases of whenever someone goes into the ladies' bathroom, they hear a woman laugh. And sometimes people standing in front of the mirror, the women, whenever they're freshening up their makeup, they'll see a woman's face. And sometimes sitting in the...
Hi, Ryan.
Ryan, what's up, man? Ryan was with me in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
When we went to that cemetery.
That was an experience, but
yes, that's
we'll talk about that in a minute.
That's a different one, yeah. So we and the last claim that they had talked about was when people are sitting at the bar at night. Sometimes the lights, which were kind of like a chandelier style, over the bar would just sway for no reason, and there was no air conditioning ducts in the way, and there was no wind blowing through. Long story short, come to find out, when they got there, the door was triggered with a sound box that whenever it would open up, it would trigger a laughing female noise. The mirror in the bathroom was one of those double-sided mirrors that behind it was the mask of a woman's face, and a light would periodically come on behind it, so when you're standing there looking in the mirror, the woman's face would appear. And then when they got up in the rafter, or got up in the drop ceilings and looked at where the chandeliers were hanging, the chandeliers were hooked up on a hydraulic system that caused them to do this number. Whenever the owner of the location was given during the reveal of, hey, we found this stuff, if you knew if that was here, why didn't you tell us? And the response was, well, I forgot to tell you. So all that being said, and I would never lay claim to say that a location had done anything like that without doing like what they did
and having solid proof.
And having solid proof. But that's something that any place you go into that has activity and it's a pay to play to go in, that's something you want to keep in mind, because like I said, the paranormal has become a commercial enterprise to a lot of people.
And also on the flip side, talking about how there are claims at some of these places where a lot of people are focused, or investigators are focused on those specific claims, and they spend most of their time checking out those claims, and they're completely missing, I mean, it's legit haunted, but they're completely missing all of the other paranormal things that are going on because they're more focused on this. So you have to go in just with a complete, almost blank, erased mind. That's why I like to go in completely cold. I don't want to have any suggestion of anything when I go in, because that way when I know I'm picking up on something, even as crazy as it sounds, and there's a lot of times when we are investigating, the first words I say is, okay, I know this is going to sound crazy, because it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I just see pieces of a puzzle. I don't all the time get a whole story. So it may seem odd or weird to me, but come to find out, it's a piece of the puzzle that
we didn't give her.
Right. So that's why I go in completely cold, because I don't want to. And also, there's been times where I know that they may be focused on a certain area within a building or a home, and they're looking to me of, well, do you get anything in here type thing. Well, that's even a power of suggestion. So I mean, over time working together, it's been more of we walk into a place and it's like, okay, Leo, where do you go? And then I'll go where I'm drawn. And then that way I'm not, okay, well, what are you getting in here? Or what are you getting over in there? Or, it's just completely cold. And that way I'm not thinking, okay, they keep asking me about this room, so something's got to be going on in this room. And that way you're able just to relax, tune in to the area that you're in, and just be able to investigate. Hi, Teresa.
Hey. So speaking of someone we connected with in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Something I wanted to add in on that. So, like I said, whenever Leah goes in, she tries to go in clean slate. Now,
I do go in clean
she
slate.
goes in clean slate. So, let me throw this out as a caveat. First of all, you should never be investigating by yourself, point one.
I go in as a clean slate.
At least
They don't.
one person in your team needs to know everything.
Oh, absolutely.
All the claims, the layout of the land, the history, all that stuff. Anything that could potentially be, could feed into the evidence, that could feed into the investigators, any potential dangers involved in the location, somebody there needs to know. You cannot have an entire team go in blind.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are going to get hurt spiritually and physically.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
So no, that's why, and that's
It's
why
just
I know you didn't.
from
I
my
happened
perspective.
and I happened to think about that. I was like, we need to probably throw that out there. But
In other words, when I go through, they're not on top of me trying to, push me in this direction
here,
or that.
come this way into this room.
Right.
Let's go that
They're
way
just,
into that room.
They're just, okay. Typically, I like to go in, they've already done the client interview. They've done all of that. They've even done a walkthrough.
Right.
So they're able to map out the area. And then I don't ever get there until day of investigation. And it's pretty much while they talk to the owner or the client or whomever, then one of them, typically Mike, while the other team members are talking to the client, he'll walk through with me and I'll just go in alone, and then he'll make notes whenever I pick up on anything.
Yeah, I used to give her a notebook and a pen to write her own stuff down, and when she kept handing me back an empty notebook, I was like, okay, someone's got to follow you and be the scribe.
Well, I'm too focused on actually trying to write down things or trying to draw the images that I get, and then I get off track. So here I'm just tuned in, I guess is a better way to say it.
I still have that first notebook I gave her, and I think it has maybe 3 pages filled in it. But no, I mean, and that was in the beginning whenever I was trying to, because in the beginning she wouldn't speak. She wouldn't tell us what she was seeing because y'all think I'm going to be crazy, but so that was my way of trying to at least get her to break the ice, so we could figure out what was going on, because if she's picking up on stuff, I mean, we could be standing, in the middle of Patton Chapel with three guys in monk robes standing behind me. And if she ain't saying nothing, I'm never going to know what's going on.
And there's still some things I don't say.
There's a joke about that, by the way. So
yeah, there's still some things that I don't say, but I guess we worked together for so long that he can kind of read my expressions, or when I'm, I guess, kind of focused in on something, he's like, okay, what do you see? And
when you're staring at the ceiling, chewing the side of your face, there's something going on. But.
Or I've even noticed, I've caught myself doing this where I'll kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out before I walk into a room or something, kind of like
Hokey pokey.
how you're dipping your toe into water to see if it's cold or not. I'll do that just because I guess it's kind of a defense mechanism for me of I'm about to walk into an atmosphere that's not good, and I kind of...
Face it, all of you have tails.
I do?
Not tails, tells.
T-E-L-L-S?
T-L-L-S. It's a poker term. So what it boils down to is anybody that I have ever dealt with that has any sort of ability, whether it be a gifting of spiritual discernment or what have you, there is something that they always do whenever they pick up on something, whether it be a licking of the lips, twitching the nose. I mean, there is something that they do all the time.
What do I do?
We're not going to talk about it on camera.
Okay. Why so?
No, I'm kidding.
And there's somebody else that we've worked with, and you're right, because of course I don't notice it on me, But
yours is just a behavioral change. I mean, like you do have a tendency to do the side of the mouth chewing, and you just like completely zone out. And I will watch you sometimes. It's like you're watching one of the cats run around. You kind of do this like head jerk thing.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't want to out you on the public. There you go.
But we've worked with somebody else that has a gifting, and I know that he has tales too, where I've watched where he just kind of, I don't know, he just kind of cocks his head to the side a little bit and just kind of looks over in an area. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? What are you picking up on? So yeah, I can see it.
Another tale that I've seen, and I think Leah, I'm going to add, this is a question I'm going to direct towards Leah because it's been asked of you before.
Me?
Yes. Would you say that people that can discern spirits, that whenever they, and I believe it was Bill that asked you this question, whenever people that can discern spirits run across something of the demonic, that they normally pick it up with their nose?
Well, you can, absolutely.
Where it's like, and whenever they're doing something demonic, the first thing you'll notice them do is kind of...
I don't know. Have I ever done that?
Yes.
Well, then there you go.
The key,
I don't pay attention to what I do when I pick up on
The key
things.
to that is that most people, and you hear it on TV, you hear it in the movies, this is one of the things where it's actually true. Anytime you're, not anytime, but most of the time when you're dealing with a demonic presence, there will be a putrid, sulfuric, flesh, rotting smell in the air. So that's where that question derived from.
And definitely, very vividly, the one home that one of the homes that we investigated, there was that smell right before you transitioned from the kitchen into the master bedroom. And it was, I mean, everybody got that scent. But yeah, that was very in your face.
But where I've been going with this is, you've got to be careful. I mean, again, if you can determine that it's fake evidence that's being, or fake activity that's being manufactured. Thank you. Fake is a negative term.
Yes, it is.
If it's manufactured activity, it can potentially lead to other claims because you're on high alert. You can go into a location that has no history, spiritually dead-celled, and if someone has set up the things like I had described that were at Moss Beach Distillery, there is a potential that you will have some type of activity that is not one of those things that was mentioned.
Right.
Because you're on high alert. Everything that you see, smell, and hear at that point is a paranormal action to you. Ed likes to use the term confirmation bias, which it's true. My favorite episode of Ghost Academy, if anybody remembers that show, was when Steve took those kids in that room and said, hey, I got a smell of cigar smoke. And they were all like, oh, yeah. And every one of them had like, they were just, yeah, it smells like this type of tobacco. It's this brand. Right. And then he was like, well, here's the funny thing. I didn't smell anything at all. I just said that to see how y'all would react. And they bought into it. Mm-hmm. And so, a place that doesn't have any activity, if there's manufactured activity, it can cause you to experience things that are not real. And as Leah said, it might be a place that does legitimately have activity that they've decided to spice it up a little bit. And then you're going to be paying more attention to the fake mask behind the mirror than you are the glasses that are picking up and moving themselves across the bar.
Right, and that's the thing about these locations that do charge, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, so don't misunderstand me, but
there are some good, honest people out there running these businesses, some of these businesses, yes.
Absolutely. The thing is, though, with the paranormal, you can't control that. So if you, and sometimes it's even in season, so the activity may be more amped around a certain part or a certain time of the year, as opposed to others. Well, if you're conducting activities or hunts or allowing people to stay through the whole year, I mean, it's very easy to be tempted to try to add these little extra nuances for the lull times of the year. And hopefully no one falls into that trap. But yeah, I mean, that's a ethics thing. But anyway, I mean, just be mindful of that, okay? Long story short, be mindful of that.
It's just, that's why that's one of the first things I do when I go into any location, whether it be a business, a residential. I take the claims and I try to find natural explanations for them. I try to recreate what was happening through some sort of natural method, whether it be, door drafts, try to find issues with the plumbing, the heating, critters. It sometimes it has turned from needing a paranormal investigator to needing a home inspector or what are they called, exterminator kind of things. Which, I mean, I would much rather be able to give somebody the peace of mind and tell them that it's a natural explanation and it's something that is only going to cost you a little bit of money and some time to get it fixed, than to run into something that could potentially be a whole lot worse. Which, I mean, we're equipped for that as well. But some people, they want to be told, I've got ghosts. But I've told this story multiple times, but I was privy to know a team many, many, many years ago. This was before I had even met her. They're no longer together, but whenever they would go into a residence or any type of place to do an investigation, if they were told there was paranormal activity, there was paranormal activity. And when questioned as to why that they operated that way, the response I was given was, we feel it is an insult to the client's intelligence if they think that there is paranormal activity going on in a home if we go in there and tell them that they're wrong. I have a big, big time problem with that. I, as a homeowner, would rather be told that it is something natural and that I had mistaken identity, what it was, and know that I've got to pay out a couple $100 or whatever for a new hot water heater, than to be lied to and told, oh yeah, you've got, the devil in his red jumpsuit and pitchfork hanging out in your hot water heater.
Why would you want someone to live in unnecessary fear or anxiety when it can be easily explained? And also on the flip side, for teams that do encounter residences or businesses or what have you, where there is legit like demonic activity, and gather all your evidence and say, okay, well, thanks, and then
your
just
job's
leave.
not done.
Yeah, that upsets me too. Now, definitely knowing your limits, I applaud you for that. But make sure that you either have a team that you are connected with, or that you are connected with that can handle those types of cases. So that way you're not just ramping up all this activity through investigating and doing all of that and then just saying, yep, you're right. And then just leaving them, to try to deal with all the aftermath of that.
Your basement's the ninth portal to hell. See ya.
Yeah. Good luck. We'll send you the evidence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely know your limits as a team. And then if you're not capable, if you're not equipped, rather, to handle those types of more dark and demonic cases, that you do network with a trustworthy group that doesn't charge.
And we've had to do that in the past. Before we got our calling to where we're at now, we were, in years past, and have been part of investigative teams that the whole job was to go in and gather evidence. And we've been involved in cases. I know I've been involved in several cases where we were in over our head. But we, even not knowing how to deal with it, not being equipped at the time, to deal with it, we knew that we still had a service to give these people, and whether it's something that we could do or not, we still had a responsibility.
We had a priest on standby.
Right. We had a priest on standby. We've had them where we've had to take a priest with us.
Yeah.
We've had to turn them over to other. And there is nothing wrong with that. I'm pleading with you teams out there for stuff like that. Don't be afraid to admit that something's not in your skill set. Because, if Ed were here right now, I'd tell him the reason why he doesn't answer the phones is people's skills are not in his skill set. I'm kidding, Ed. I hope you're watching. That's a joke.
I think he would admit to that.
He probably would. But no, but in all seriousness, even in a team, there's members of your team that that may not be in their skill set. You may have somebody on your team that, you might have 6 people in a team. 2 of them operate like us that have had experiences with this type of thing. There's nothing wrong with letting those 2 people take the lead to deal in a situation that's out of your control.
Well, everybody has their strength.
Right, and if it's something that you as a team aren't able to handle with, get them in contact with somebody. You can Google paranormal and come up with, multiple teams and do your we've covered this in different episodes, but do your research and find a team that can deal with it. There's nothing wrong with that.
And really do your homework on those teams, because
right.
We've even heard in the news and the paranormal community about teams that actually charge to help people and things like that,
and evidently give out letters of certification that a place is haunted. Because we had a client ask us to do that one time and we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I've heard of groups that actually give out plaques or certificates that state that this location is haunted. And even all that is subjective. Just because a team comes in from maybe 1 night, 2 nights at the most, or 3 or whatever, doesn't mean that whatever's there is always there. There's, different times of the year. There's transient things that come through. So it's just...
We've been to the same place, we'll go to the same location 4 or 5 different times, and we'll get 4 or 5 different types of evidence, or sometimes nothing at all.
Yeah.
We've gone to places locally where, what's the best way to put this? It's almost like the stuff that was there got to know us, and every time we would go there, nothing would happen because it had kind of gotten used to us, so to speak. But anytime we brought somebody new, stuff would act up. So, or
what was there is no longer there, and it's changed. It's
something else has been brought in.
Yeah, something else. So there's just so many variables in this field. So many variables. But what we're trying to express to you is just be mindful of all these different things. Go in with an open mind, with an open skeptical mind at first, and then after you rule out all natural, then it's time to say, okay, well this may actually be something paranormal, and then go from there.
So there's another side to this, or another variation on this that I actually had never encountered until her and I encountered it at a place up in Tennessee. I'm not going to give the name of the location, but it was a business that we had stayed at. And to kind of get a little bit ahead of myself, after we had stayed in this location and had gathered what we were able to gather out of it, it came out in several articles online that location had actually been faking manufacturing activity. What?
Yes, but not in the traditional
I'm
physical way.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways to look at this. So like I said, we went there. We got all the stories of what happened there, and this happened here, and this is what happened.
Very cool place. Oh my gosh.
And the owners of the place.
And legit history to the place.
Yes, I loved it.
The owners were just phenomenal, so accommodating and sweet.
And to add to that, it wasn't the owners that had been manufacturing the evidence. It had been their son, because he was the one that was running the haunted tours of the place. So anyway, so when we got there, we got here's this is what happened. This is what happened here. Well, everything just kind of eventually died. We weren't getting anything. And then Leah started to pick up on, I felt, was it 3? Was it 5? I can't remember.
There's 3.
3 entities.
3, yeah.
And I'm going to let her go into more, because she can explain this better than I can, but to kind of give it to you in layman's terms, they were something that had been conjured by someone to act as the activity. And is that a good way of explaining it?
I can't remember what time of the night, but we were in one of the bedrooms, and
Leah's used to us coming on at 8 o'clock. That's why she's late. Hi, Leah.
Sorry, we did a little earlier tonight.
We've had a few people come on. Lyle's on. Yvette. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
But we were in one of the bedrooms, and it just seemed all of a sudden like these things appeared. And the best way that I can explain it, it was almost, oh gosh, they were maybe about 8 feet tall, and they were kind of steampunked out, like what I would think of if you've ever seen, what's that Wizard of Oz? Return to Oz.
I just saw this movie the other night, Return to Oz. The TikTok character, he's a wind-up character. They have to wind him up to move, think, and talk.
It's kind of that mechanical type deal, but they were very tall and just had this very, I don't know, menacing and intimidating, not atmosphere, but
air about them.
So, nothing. And then at this certain time of night, I don't even remember what time of night it was. I want to say it was midnight, maybe. Was it midnight?
I don't remember. The one thing I remember is that I was trying to, because you kept saying where they were, and we were getting like hits on the meter and stuff, and I was trying to get them to do something.
Right.
And all you would tell me was, they're not going to do anything. It's not time for them to do anything.
Okay. I don't remember that.
But it wasn't their time. Like whatever, there was a specific time or a specific atmosphere, something going on, season, if you will, that during the day that the activity happened, and these things were just sitting there waiting for that time. It wasn't time yet.
Okay. See, and that's another thing. That's why he makes notes, because I don't remember. I do remember what they look like, but to the point is that they wthey mechanical, and they would only perform at a certain time during a certain time frame. And it seems like that during that time frame that we were there was a lot of hits. Like the meters started going off, and they were just in full-blown activity mode, and then it just hit a certain time on the clock, and then it just went like a carnival shutting down for the night. It was like, and then they just went flat and dead. So I was like, and I kept telling them, I said, I know that I always start this stuff, what I pick up on, I know this sounds crazy and it doesn't make any sense, but it's weird because they only operate during a certain time frame, and they're not going to do anything else now. It's like the switch is being turned off and they've stopped. I mean, there was no, like, when I've encountered actual spirits or demonic activity, I mean, there's like a substance to it. Not always a human substance, but more tangible, I guess. More of a personality or persona type essence. This was entirely mechanical. There was nothing to where it had ever been living. It was manufactured There was just nothing else to it.
Spiritually manufactured.
Spiritually manufactured. So come to find out, there was an article posted.
Yeah, and I'd already discussed that.
Kind of an expose of how, and I don't exactly know what he did, but the guy, he was doing these haunted ghost tours, and he admitted to,
in a roundabout way, I mean,
conjuring this story of what was going on in this one particular bedroom that really wasn't true. It was just there to be entertainment for but it was in the spiritual realm.
it kind of turns into that whole, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes true. And if what you bind on earth, bind and loose on earth, loose on heaven. So that also kind of goes hand in hand with another variation of this. And you and I, because I tried to find that
I've
article.
encountered this before too.
I tried to find this article that we're talking about, but come to find out, this location actually shut down back
Shortly after that.
in 2017. The haunted tours stopped. It's, from what I could tell, they kept it open a little while longer as a functioning business, but the haunted tours have stopped, and now the place is no longer active. It's no longer open. So trying to find that article again was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But I remember vividly reading it after we came back, because it was just mind blowing after everything that she had been telling me. And then
And I
saw
couldn't
this.
explain it. I thought I was like, there's no way. This just doesn't make any sense. And I do that for a long time. And then through additional research, they typically, it comes together.
So something else, and this goes hand in hand, but it's another thing that not a lot of people take into consideration, is that someone's, well, it kind of, I don't want to say it goes with what people describe as a poltergeist, because when we talk about poltergeists, Hollywood poltergeist is, someone that is troubled, or someone that's going through puberty or something, causing their own activity. Do what?
Or stress.
Stress causing their own activity. Well, there's an ounce of truth in that, where your fear in something can actually conjure things. It can feed into a location that's already got activity, and then your fear can conjure things, or
Give it another personality.
exactly. Or I can take everybody that's watching right now. We can go to because we thought about doing this one time just as a test, but I could take everybody that's watching right now and go to an old house down where I used to live, and I could tell you that devil worshippers used to live in that house, and that they conjured demons on a nightly basis, and that people were murdered there, and just give you this big long laundry list of activity, and none of it is true, and somebody will have an experience, because the power of suggestion and the power of the mind. Well, imagine telling that story.
And fear has an energy.
Imagine telling that story over and over and over and over to people that are coming to your location, whether it's monetarily based or not. You keep telling the same stories, and whether it's true or not, it can actually kind of take form. And Aaliyah mentioned that you had dealt with something like this before.
Yeah, there was some place that I think it was a residence that we went to, where there was nothing there as far as a spirit or demonic activity. But what this person was experiencing, they were left at home alone quite a bit. So when they'd hear creaks and noises, of course, they would be fearful of that. And this happened over a period of time. And so that fear just kept working and working and building and building and building, to where things were actually starting to happen, because that energy, the fear energy that was put out into the atmosphere, developed a personality from that. It was the weirdest thing that I had ever picked up on before. But once we were able to help this individual control that fear and actually show the natural explanations of what was going on in the home. And look, it's it's not anything that you're letting your mind conjure up, or your imagination is running wild. Once we were able to control that fear and actually get rid of that fear, then there were no more issues whatsoever. So it wasn't a spirit per se, but just the energy in itself, based on what this person thought it was and letting their imagination run wild with them. It kind of developed a little personality, that energy, to just to keep this person fearful. But yeah, once it was controlled, then there was nothing else to it. So that was very interesting.
I mean, the enemy is going to use anything he can, be it your own mind, to keep you subjugated and fearful.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think you had mentioned this. Ryan Buell of Paranormal State fame actually dealt with a similar case.
Yes.
To that here recently, wasn't it? Or
No.
It
was back when he had the show Paranormal State. But there was an episode, we can look it up, but I couldn't tell you, where it was some hotel. I want to say it was in Chicago, but I could be wrong. But anyway, they were having all this paranormal activity going on in this hotel. Well, when they got there, and they had, I think Chip Coffey was with them. If you know who Chip Coffey is.
Chip.
But he was with them, and all these different stories have been told about the history of the hotel, and a fire, and a lady on her wedding night in her wedding dress had got...
Wait a minute, was this in Chattanooga? No. Was this the Reed House? I'm kidding.
Every place has a lady in white. And a story of, the UTC, the chapel. Isn't there a story of a bride or something that she was in her wedding dress? They see her in the chapel. Okay.
The Chickamauga battlefield has a lady in white walking down the streets looking for the spirit, or looking for the body of her husband that was killed during the war. She also haunts the Old Post Hospital. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Scorned brides. But anyway,
there's a lesson in that, guys. There's a lesson in that.
But there had been a fire at the hotel, and all these people died in the fire, and anyway, all this history that had just been told over and over and over and over in this town. Well, when they actually did their historical research for this episode, none of that was true. And it was where all of that energy of story being told for so many years, and I'm talking about decades and decades, just all these different little stories, that the energy had developed that personality, and people were experiencing these stories, but nothing was historical or true to that area. So that's really interesting. It's even biblical, where the things that we speak into the atmosphere, it changes the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's always, always speak positive and good, and not speak negative, because what you speak into the atmosphere, and it will be so. So there's power in the tongue, power in life, or death in life, in the tongue.
If you guys want a good example of the power of the word, whether it be spoken or written word for that matter, you need to look up the rice experiment. I think it's been done several different times by several different people, but basically it's they take several jars, boil rice, put the same amount of rice, from the same pot into the 3 jars, same amount of rice, seal them all up, and then put them all in the same place. But they've got one jar that has nothing on it, or they don't do anything to it. That's the control. And then you've got 2 other jars, and one of them, they either spend time speaking loving words to it, or they write loving words and put it on the jar so that the words are facing the rice, or and then they take the other jar and either write negativity or speak negativity to the rice. And they do this for a period of 6 weeks, and then they take the jars down and you've got the first jar, which is the control that has, it's deteriorated a little bit because, I mean, cooked rice wasn't meant to last 6 weeks. And then the rice that all the good words are spoken onto is still clean and looks like it had just come out of the pot. And then that rice that had all the negative words spoken to it has rotted and turned green and looks all maggoty. Look it up. It's a really, really cool experiment.
There's been several variations of that experience where they've used plants, they've used bread, all different types, and the outcome is always the same regardless of what medium you use.
Perry Stone did one where they were doing it over water, and they were doing an electron microscope on top of the water, and because there's structures, because there's the molecules, that's the word I was looking for, in the water. And when they were using this electron microscope looking at water, and they would say, I love you, and all this stuff across the water would take, like, the molecules would form what looked like a snowflake, something really, really beautiful. But then the other water, whenever they would scream at it and holler and curse over it, it looked like broken glass. It was just all over the place. So if you're one of those people that needs to visually see stuff like that, then, I would definitely check those out. That's a good.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Yvonne from the UK. So glad that you were with us.
Yvonne from the UK, is that what you call her from now on?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
have a good night and good sleep.
Yes. Well, so all that just to kind of come down to, anywhere you go, please go in with an open mind if you're doing any type of investigating. If there's activity that's going on, test it, check it out, try to recreate it. Don't take everything at face value. It's just like buying a car. You're not going to go, the salesman says, hey, this car is brand new, it does all this. Test it, test drive it, take a look at things. And you'll be surprised the type of things that you'll be able to discern between what's real and what's not. You may get evidence that you had never considered before, because when you start weeding out all the garbage, so to speak, and fine-tuning what you're looking for, you'll find some really cool stuff.
Did anybody else that's watching investigate anywhere or go to any places or anything they want to share with us? Has anybody had any experiences, any paranormal experiences this past year? Or
yeah, this kind of turned into more of a lecture episode than anything. Which, sometimes they're going to be like that, guys. We get we'll get topics that are kind of near and dear to us, and we get a little passionate about it. This is one of mine. For people to be careful, and whenever they go on something like this, and not get wrapped up in stuff that they don't need to. It's a safety issue on many different levels.
Yeah. We'll wait just a little bit to see if anybody chimes in, because I know on our end there's a little bit of a delay. Or do you want to tell us anything about your holiday? Doesn't have to be paranormal. Just any interaction. Did everybody get what they wanted for Christmas?
I did. Did anybody have a bad Christmas? Tell us about that. You don't have to name names.
Waiting on my chance to go with y'all. Hint, hint. Yes. Oh, speaking of that, thank you, Leah. So,
are you talking to yourself again?
We are trying to buckle down a spot to go investigate, so that way we can do another drawing for our guestigator. So as soon as we get a spot panned out, then we will open up or make an announcement for the drawing.
Right.
Yeah, we had so much fun on our last one, so we really, really want to do it again. It was a good experience.
And again, like we had mentioned on the last one, the reason why we don't just want to do any old investigation with it is we want to make sure that it's a place that, I don't want to say, a safe, a place that, we've probably been to before, that we know enough about that, You know, we don't want to put anybody in the middle of a situation that they've never been, that, you know, they already haven't been in that situation, and then here we are on a brand new location that we don't know anything about either.
But yes,
Did
it's
that
coming
make
up,
any
Leah.
sense?
Nope. But yeah, it's coming up, Leah. To sum up what that was about, so basically we don't want to put you in a situation that you're not going to be prepared for. So we want to...
Because you're already not prepared for it, so...
We want to make sure it's... I mean, we don't want... Like you said earlier, we don't want to send you into a place that is, you know, the 7th level of hell, and then say, okay, now's the time for a learning experience. I don't think that would be wise. Here's
your EVP recorder. We're going to shut the door, and we're going to go down and get some Waffle House while you sit here.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Maybe you can claw your way out.
Somebody sympathizes with me.
Oh, brother.
All right, well, if no one else wants to chime in, do we have a musical number lined up for this one? I really like that.
No,
Oh,
no, I think he's in his room FaceTiming his girlfriend. So, you know, we're not priority anymore.
I know. Well, I think it's because we actually let him act and dress up. That's what we should have done.
I don't know what he could have been though for the like a New Year's Eve baby.
We could have put a diaper on him and put like baby New Year.
Okay. No.
And then like Family Child Services would be knocking on our door.
What's going on?
What are you doing with this kid?
Weirdos.
Maybe we'll get a dance number together for the February episode.
Oh, it'll be Valentine's.
Yes. And guess what this year is, guys?
Leap year.
It's leap year.
That means that if you want to, ladies, if you are not getting asked to be married in the time frame that you feel like you should be, then this is your year to ask them on leap day. What is it? In Ireland.
It's that Amy Adams movie. I was like, where's this going? I've heard this before. It's that movie.
I don't know if it's just the movie or an actual thing, but I like the movie.
Only thing I know is if you're born on leap year, that your birthday only happens every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're old, you can say that take your age and divide it by 4. So I would be 10 years old if I was born on leap year. Anyway, all right, we've said enough. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I know we kind of went.
Or if you know of a place that you would like us to go.
Right.
Or if you need some help in your home.
Always.
Please send us a message. Let us know.
First and foremost, if you know anybody that's experiencing problems in their home, please forward our information to them. What's
our number?
Oh.
The team number is, and if he doesn't say it right, it's on our Facebook page.
Is it bad that because I don't call the number, I have to look the number up?
423.
Leah.
423.
402-0386. That's 423-402-0386. You can also reach out to us at paranormalhelp@outlook.com. You can look up Paranormal Help on Facebook, which if you're already on Facebook watching this, you've already found us.
Yep.
And, of course, we've got our website, paranormalhelpministry.com.
Yes.
So, no excuse. And we got Messenger.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Texting. You can text
the team number. The only thing we don't have is a mailing address. And I've considered getting a P.O. box. But anyway, email's faster. So anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Like as we were saying, anybody that's got any issues, if you need to pass our information along to them, if they don't know about us, please do. If you've got anything going on, please reach out to us. And we guys will see you in a month.
Yeah. Oh, here. We're going to close out with this.
Oh, we do have a dance. We do have a dance number.
Yeah, or stop mic at work. That'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you later.
It's a mosh pit.
It's a loony bin is what it is.